I saw in the chat, not to go back, but go back on what we said, what we were talking about earlier with Ospreay and Swerve, potentially racing the Young Bucks. I saw in the chat somebody said that that's a waste of Ospreay and Swerve. What do you think about that matchup at All In?
I thought that Osprey and Swerve should be the all-in match, but once I did it last night, I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely doing Bucks against
Yeah,
Osprey and Swerve. I don't really think it's a waste though. Like we gotta put a little respect on the Young Bucks name, right? Like we know this is gonna be a killer match.
yeah,
The Bucks are gonna have a killer match. Osprey and Swerve, they they always have killer matches. Like it's a great match, and I think they've done well to set it up too. It's not a just hey, we're just gonna have a banger match for a banger match. Like it goes back to the Bucks costing Swerve at Dynasty, and and then everything that we saw at with Anarchy in the Arena with Swerve and the Bucks. And now Osprey trying to recruit Swerve and it not happening, and then the match last night, and then how everything played out there with Osprey taking the bullet. Like they've told a good story to get there. I understand if you're disappointed that it's not Osprey Swerve one on one. I get that, but I'm not gonna pretend like this is just a match that is meaningless and doesn't isn't gonna be good. Like no, it's gonna be a great match, and they've set it up well. So if
yeah.
you what are your other suggestions aside from Osprey and Swerve one on one for them if it's not going to be the Young Bucks match? Like what else would you suggest that they do? I'm not saying that's just you. Like if you're
Yeah, no,
disappointed by
that's
this
in. Yeah,
match,
if you're
yeah,
disappointed, because I'm personally I'm not. I was disappointed when it looked like we were getting Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, because I thought that that's a waste of
yeah,
this rivalry between Swerve and Hangman. But the way they've been building up, where this matchup is just an extension of the AEW World Title story between Hangman and Moxley, and it's just an extension of the Hangman and Swerve rivalry without them just having to team up with one another, because I thought they would have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to get us to the point where we can realistically believe Swerve and Hangman would team up with one another. But I don't think they have the same mental gymnastics with that, with Swerve and Ospreay teaming up. And I've seen Ospreay go up against the Young Bucks, and every time it's a spectacular matchup. And you have Swerve, who's just coming off of one of the best matches of the year against the Young Bucks in what they did in Anarchy in the Arena. So I have all the confidence in the world that this is going to be just as spectacular, just as great at that match. We're going to come out of All In Texas as that's one of the best matches on the entire show. And I just like the fact that it's an extension of the main story. So it's two big matches in one main story heading into the show. So I have no issue with it at all. I don't have a lot of the same issues that I had when the speculation was it was going to be Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, because it felt like you were basically sacrificing this great overarching story of Swerve versus Hangman for the Young Bucks having a big matchup at All In. This one is servicing the bigger story, which is Hangman's quest to become the AEW World Championship, and come in line with that, with the basically a resolution being a common ground being seen between Hangman and Swerve. I feel like it tells a bigger story than what we would have gotten if they would have went with their initial idea of Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks.
and if you don't like the Young Bucks, which I know there are plenty of people out there who don't like the Young Bucks, if you don't buy them as like a serious threat, like I understand that sentiment. There's plenty of episodes of me saying that they dropped the ball with that whole elite storyline and what it could have been and what it should have been, and the Bucks don't present themselves as the threats that I think they would like to be as heels. So I understand that sentiment with it, but let's not pretend that there hasn't been a story here And let's not pretend that the Bucks aren't exceptional wrestlers, because they are. So I understand why people might be upset with it. I think the majority of people are upset with it probably fall into two categories. One, they wanted Ospreay and Swerve one-on-one, or two, they don't like the Young Bucks for whatever reason. Some
Or
valid,
they
maybe
wanted
some.
Ospreay to win at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. If that's a thing, sure. I feel like people were fine. I feel like even the people who wanted Ospreay to win were probably not too mad that like Hangman won.
Yeah,
Because
I'm an example of that, where I've said it once, I say it 1,000 times. I was perfectly fine with being wrong. I was
yeah,
happy at the end of, because we got one of the best matches of the year, my match of the year so far this year with that matchup. So I had no problem being wrong there. And like I said, I like how this is not just a standalone story. It's a part of this overarching story, and it's all interwoven. Like something that I always say that Monday Night Raw is one of the better shows in wrestling right now, because a lot of their main event scene is so interwoven with one another. You had Jey Uso, who had the big matchup on Monday against Gunther, but he's also involved in the Seth Riders storyline, and the Seth Riders are feuding with CM Punk and Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn also has a story going on with Karrion Kross, who's trying to get in his head and trying to lean him towards the dark side, and now Punk's got a story with John Cena. So Seth winning the Money in the Bank means that he can now cash in not just on the World Heavyweight Championship, he can cash in on the WWE Championship and stop CM Punk from winning that. That's all interwoven storyline, and I love when that happens. When there's a lot of different players and big stars involved in your main storyline, that's like the best type of wrestling storytelling to me, and I like that's what's going on heading into the biggest show of the year with AEW. That Hangman and Moxley is not just this standalone build up and rivalry. It involves so many different people, whether it be the Ops, whether it be the Young Bucks, whether it be Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They're all interwoven in here, and we're building to two matches that are going to be fantastic on July 12th. So I have no issue with it. I just wanted to see if you had a different perspective, and if you have a different perspective, let us know in the live chat or in the comment section if you feel differently, and explain why you don't like it or think it's a waste of the big stars with Ospreay and Swerve, and what you would do with Ospreay and Swerve instead of this, because I don't think there's any better option outside of just doing Ospreay and Swerve again, which they just did last night.